Just before Christmas 2017, when I'd packed up for the holidays, I got a phone call from Polly Hill at ITV saying, "We love the show, we're going to greenlight it for next year. Can you deliver it to us for 2019? And I went, yes. And then, of course, the nightmare began in terms of how can we deliver it.
We spent a lot of time getting the scripts exactly right, sending our team out in India to find the best locations and really getting on with casting right away.
We went on 4 location recce's to India before the technical recce. Gurinder knew exactly what she wanted. She was able to walk into a location and on the spot, she's incredibly decisive.
It's a lot of action. We might as well do it where we can control it.
She works as a director as well as a producer.
That's the ground level.
Which is extraordinary. Nobody else can do that.
We had a lot of actors who'd never been to India before. We had some cast members who it was their first big kind of show to do. So we had a real range of actors who'd been around the block and other actors who'd been, who were fairly green and new to the process. And so when you shoot on location, it's always kind of a bonding experience. But shooting in India, I think, is even more so.
It was my first time to India, so I sort of landed in Jaipur and was assaulted by the sound and smells of this incredible country.
I'm really lucky because I've worked in India a lot, so I was totally prepared for anything that can be thrown at us. What's been interesting for me is to watch everybody else deal with the challenges in India.
When we first started, it was getting up to 38 degrees and we were in period costumes, which means you're very hot and very sweaty. When we filmed back in Ealing, we knew this would be the case, so we were sweated up with Vaseline and water spray. But here, that's not necessary because we're sweating genuinely.
Beecham House,
You kind of get, acclimatized to it quite quickly. The temperature and the energy and the pace of everything. At first, you're like, oh my God, there's no rules of the road. There's people just crashing all over the place. No one seems to be doing anything about it.
And then you've got animals. You've got horses that are taking a poo-poo every now and then. You've got, elephants that don't want to move and all of those things. It's just a moving circus. Thank God, again, we have Gurinder at our helm because she really knows how to deal with it.
Today is Dussehra in India, hence this. We're doing probably one of the biggest shots for Beecham House. It's the establishment of the Emperor's Palace. The price you pay for amazing locations in India is the logistical nightmare that is filming here, especially if you're used to the British way of filming. India is the largest producer of films, so they do make films here. It's just that shooting the Indian way is different to the British way. So I am that person who can combine both and hopefully get the best out of both.
It tends to be a lot more, oh, hey, we're here, let's just shoot this as well. And what's amazing is they go with it here in India. That's kind of how they do things.
The most satisfying thing for me about working in India is the fact that they are able to handle anything in an emergency immediately. I love the fact that with a hammer you can do anything. Forget the power tools. And I love the fact that it's raining and you're under a piece of tarp and you can build a throne. I love the fact that you could lose this location tonight and tomorrow you've found a new location in the middle of the night and you go there and you address it in the middle of the night, by the next morning it's done. I love the can-do attitude and the companionship of the power of that.
It's very loud here. Obviously that is a challenge whenever you're on location.
Indians work just as well, but we cannot work without noise. Because you have to yell at people. And I find that the British crew gets a bit shaken by that.
Things tend to be a lot calmer in England. It's kind of crazy and chaotic here. Cue that.
It's absolutely insane. It's very loud, it's very colourful, it's very busy, it's very manic, but it instills every single scene and take with a sense of energy that you don't really achieve in a sort of cold studio set in London.
Our location today is Samode Bagh, which is the gardens for Beecham House. It's an incredibly beautiful, very big garden, with some lovely features in it, like the chapel. I think this is probably my favourite location, partly because it's outdoors and it's always so much nicer to shoot outdoors because inside it gets very, very hot. There's something about this location that feels very much of the time that we're shooting.
We shot in a place called Kishnagar, which is an old fort just outside of Jaipur, and it's beautiful. It's been there for, probably since the 1600s, I think, the early 1600s. It's gorgeous architecture. It's got these great bones to it. And so we created a kind of a bazaar, like a big market in what would have been downtown Delhi. And then you can just sort of bring in, all the wares and what people would be doing, which is not that different to today. And then there's a lake, and so the lake became our docks, where the boats would come in. And it afforded us some really great spots.
Oh my God. We tried shooting in one of the biggest tourist places in the whole of Jaipur.
The locations that we've been filming in are huge tourist attractions, like the Amber Fort, the Taj Mahal. There's this city palace in the middle of this square, and we're filming in the middle of the day, and you can't lock them down. So you're literally doing a scene, and you can see behind the camera, not exaggerating, 400 or 500 people waiting to be let through.
So in India, it's a very lovely custom. Every morning they do little prayers and then everyone blesses the camera. I like to do this when we shoot in India because it's sort of respecting the Indian crew, it's respecting customs. In terms of crewing, what we try and do is bring our HODs from England and a couple of people from each department. Then we work with, quite experienced people in India who also bring their teams and then sort of make it gel like that.
Our India co-producer is a company called iTop, otherwise known as India Take One. Their co-producer was Rakesh Singh, who is extraordinary. Gurinder and Rakesh have worked together on a number of films now. Rakesh understands what is needed to bring the show together. All of the India crew came from Mumbai, which is the filming capital of India. We had to bring everyone, including the crew, cast, extras, lights, cameras, catering, even facilities from Mumbai to Rajasthan. iTop had to put up this army of 350 people in 17 hotels, which is no small feat, given we were filming in wedding season where most of the hotels are booked a year in advance.
We have magnificent caterers who make the most sumptuous curries, almost like wedding food, like wedding caterers. So there's always a massive array of like 15 dishes.
I love Indian food. Indian food is probably one of my favourites when I'm back home anyway.
Here you get masala chai delivered to you, which is great. You have kulfis, which is Indian ice cream, brought to you on set. You have fresh coconut water.
Definitely think that should be in the scene. That he was watching.
Just sat on the sunlight there.
What Gurinder does is she always manages to make it feel like we're all doing something important together, but we're going to have fun with it.
Gurinder was always able to bring everyone together, and the way that she would do that is, just like the head of all families, we'd have a party.
The entire palace at Chomu was converted into like an epic Indian wedding scene with like tables and chairs, buffet and DJ. Gurinder was the first and last person on the dance floor, and she just completely immerses herself and frees herself like any good Indian woman would.
One of the joys of this job is that at work you're working with your colleagues, other actors, but then you go back to the hotels and you're still with those people. So we've developed a real sense of family, which has been lovely and makes the show work better because we all get along and there's a natural chemistry growing between us all. So it's sort of like I get to go on holiday. I know it's not holiday, but it's sort of like I get to go on holiday with 10 other great friends and we're forming lifelong friendships, which is cool.
Shooting in India is something that I crave and I miss when I'm shooting elsewhere because once you've shot here, everything else feels a little bit sterile. I just think there's a lot of heart that goes into everything that's done here, because so many people are putting their energy into it, and it really comes from a place. It's not a job for people, it's passion, it's love. All of us are artists here really wanting to work towards something, and you just sprinkle that with general India and it turns into again something that's so fun to make.